Everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about scrap blankets, and this is my big basket of scraps. Now I separate my scraps out by weight or brand or colour or however I'm going to work them. This is my sort of scrap boho spirit, signet boho spirit, left over from making fantail shell stitch fingerless gloves. And I think I've got a bit of Prima Donna ice yarns in here. I have some Shapier's Wanderlust in here. So it's all very, very similar. It's all variegated. It's all a pretty much like for like weight. And this is just my huge sort of scrap basket. So I have already made a granny stripe scrap blanket out of my boho scraps. And this is what I've still got left over. I've got lots. Shameful, as you can see. So I've actually started making a hexagon, a really simple granny hexagon blanket. And I have joined using a tight join as you go. So I thought this would be, as I've just started, this would be a great opportunity to show you a really simple, standard and quick granny hexagon motif. So I am a big fan of hexagons. I already have another like a cluster hexagon tutorial on my channel. This is a really simple, fast granny, just a standard granny hexagon, which you can make as big or as small as you like. So I'm going to show you how you, if you also have embarrassing amounts of scraps, how you can make a fab scrap blanket, which will look amazing once it's done. Obviously at the moment it's only 7 hexagons, so I don't know if I can class that as a blanket. But that's enough chatter from me. I'm going to crack on and I'm going to show you how to do this really versatile hexagon. All right, so I've just grabbed, I think this is Zen, the colorway Zen boho spirit scrap left over whilst I knock the camera and all the lighting. So I'm using this, and I've found what works well for me with these slightly different brands of yarn is to sort of average it out, and I use a 4.5mm hook. Now you can go bigger, you can go smaller. It's just for me, for these particular yarns, I've been using a 4.5mm hook. So I'm going to show you how to do a really basic granny hexagon motif. I do have a video on how to do this tight join, super flat, tight join as you go method. A note about how to do it with hexagons, it's exactly the same as squares. It's just, as you can see, wherever you fill in your hexagon or wherever you put your next hexagon, sometimes you may be joining 3 sides. Let me have a look here. I think I joined 3 sides and these are then joined to this one. But essentially this one here I've joined on 2 sides. So you join however many sides obviously your placement is. So you'll know as you go where you're adding them. And the beauty of this tight join as you go is I couldn't tell you if for this hexagon I joined all 4 sides at once or if I'd just joined one and the others are joined in. So it's a seamless, really pretty corded, and it looks really effective when it's separate colors like this. So let's get on with a basic granny hexagon. So I like to start all my granny hexagons, granny squares, any motif, I always start with a magic ring. Now I've got a video on how to do a magic ring if you're not sure of how to do that. Or, and I just want to say, or for all the people that often comment saying, I don't like the magic ring, that is totally fine. You can substitute it out and you can do say 3 or 4 chains and join them with a slip stitch to make a tiny little circle you can work into. That's fine, whatever works for you. I just personally prefer a magic ring because I like how closed the center is. So with your magic ring, you're going to go ahead and chain 2, which counts as your first double crochet. Then I'm going to pop another double crochet into this ring. chain 2, and put 2 more double crochets, oops, into the ring. So for this granny hexagon, I'm not doing clusters of 3 like you would on a traditional granny square. I'm only doing clusters of 2. So this speeds things up quite quickly by just doing clusters of 2. Chain 2, 2 double crochet into the ring. Chain 2, move that out of the way. 2 more double crochet into the center ring. Chain 2. So I've got 4 now. I need 2 more sets of these 2 double crochets, because obviously a hexagon is all about the number 6. Chain 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 more double crochet into the center ring. Chain 2, and provided you have 6, that magic number 6 clusters, you can tighten up the magic ring, but don't pull it all the way closed, because you don't want to lose that first chain 2 that you did, which counts as a stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch before I fully close this up to that second chain. So this is the top of my double crochet, and this is my chain 2 just tucked down here slightly. So I'm just going to slip stitch to that chain 2. Now you're free to go ahead and tighten up that center ring. Okay, for the second round, I'd like to start in this corner, like this chain 2 space here. So I'm just going to slip stitch under the next double crochet and then into the chain 2 space. So I've crept along without adding any height. Oh, my magic ring is not being very magic today. So now in this chain 2 space, I'm going to chain 2, which counts as my first double crochet, and pop another double crochet into that space. Chain 2, and put 2 more double crochet into that exact same space. So I've formed a corner for my hexagon. So into the next chain 2 space, you're going to form another corner, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into that same chain 2 space. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. You're going to repeat that little corner section in each chain 2 space around, so you'll end up with 6 corner sections. So just straight into the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Oh, for heaven's sake. Ah, third time lucky. And keep going around, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into each chain 2 space from the row below. So you'll have 6 corners all the way around, And then just like before, you're going to slip stitch to that initial chain 2, just to the top, to that second chain. Slip stitch to there. And then because I want to make my way to this corner, I'm just going to slip stitch under the next double crochet and then slip stitch into that chain space. Round 3, we're starting in a corner, so chain 2, which counts as a double crochet, and another double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So start with a corner, and you know you're starting on a corner. So I've got my first corner. Now in between these 2 sets of corners, you're going to pop 2 double crochet just in between them, just straight in for a side. So a side is just 2 double crochet, just hanging out on their own. And then I'm immediately back over to my chain 2 space from the row below. So I'm going to put a corner in, and the corners are 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into the same space. Now I've got a side, so I'm going to put 2 double crochet in there, just on their own. You're going to keep doing that all the way around. So corner, side, corner, side, corner, side, corner, side. Don't forget your final side. And then just like before, slip stitch to the chain 2, slip stitch underneath the next double crochet, and slip stitch into this chain 2 space. Then you're ready for the next round. Okay, so oops. For the next round, it's just like before, only you're going to be adding an extra side. So for every corner, it's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all in the same place. And for the sides, it's just 2 double crochet. But you'll notice there's now 2 here and here. So for every round that your hexagon gets bigger, you're increasing your side count by 1. And also what you may find, it's quite well demonstrated on these, is as you get a bit bigger, because we are not chaining 1 on the sides, it's starting to pull in a little bit. So you can see like on this one, kind of pulls in. However, that is rectified when you do the tight join as you go. So you can see on this one, this is a perfect example. These 4 sides look perfectly straight. These 2 edges are bowing in slightly. That's fine, because when you do your tight join as you go, it's almost like you're blocking your blanket with the next adjoining hexagon. So don't worry too much if it's sort of pulling in like this, if you're going to be doing a tight join as you go. If you want to do a join as you go, you might want to add in the side stitches having a chain 1. But for this, because it's a tight join as you go, don't worry too much if it pulls in slightly like these ones are here. So for the next round, just like before, start with a chain 2, which counts as a double crochet, and pop a double crochet in, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Then, as I said, we've now got 2 sides to work our way along. So it's just 2 double crochet on their own, and then here again, another side, 2 double crochet, just hanging out on their own. And then you're immediately back to your corner, your chain 2 space. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into that same chain 2 space. So I'm going to carry on and whiz around this one, and I'll meet you back over here. So I'm just finishing up this round now, and as you can see, my yarn has started to change colour, which hopefully means you can see a bit more clearly the two sides and where they're sort of... Why is my light not quite as bright as it could be? Bear with me 2 seconds, let me turn this up a little bit. There we go. So you can see the sort of... Move that. The two sides and how they're just going in between the sets of clusters from the rows below. So this is 4 rounds, and for my personal blanket I've been doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds because I found that's just enough to bring in the sort of colour change, colour variation. So just enough to get this sort of beautiful slight colour change coming through. Not quite enough for the Wanderlust. It's just a solid black square, so that is actually quite annoying, but I'm not going to look at that. It's a scrap blanket, so it doesn't matter. I need to get past my colour OCD. So we're going to go ahead and finish up this round just as we have with all the others. Slip stitching to the top of the chain 2. And slip stitching into the top of that double crochet and slip stitching into the chain 2 space. So we're going to have one more round, and at this point we will have 3 sides. Now what colour is my yarn sort of changing to? So it's brown. So I'm just going to find where I want to attach it, to which square I want to attach it. Actually it will look quite nice. I'm going to attach to let's have a look. Black's a nightmare, so I can't join over there. I'm going to attach it to these 2 sections here. Maybe these 2 would be easier. No, these 2. I should plan this in advance, really, shouldn't I? I'm going to go ahead and attach it to these 2 sides, just so you can see how I'm dealing with the corners. It's exactly the same as when I'm doing a square. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I do have a link to how to do the tight join as you go. I'm going to skip over it quite briefly for this video, otherwise this video will be very, very long. But this is the 2 sides I'm going to attach it to. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of sides before I get to the attaching. So let's move that one out of the way. And to start my final round, just as before, chain 2 and double crochet, which counts as my sort of 2 beginning double crochets. Chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into the same place. Now we've got 1, 2, 3 sides, so I'm going to go ahead and pop my 2 double crochets in each of those sections. And then back to my corner. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into that same place. So I'm just going to whiz along, do this side ahead of attaching. So I have just started my, sorry, I went a bit too fast then. Just started the beginning 2 getting half of my first corner. I'm going to chain 2, and of course now I want to do the joining. It's gone to quite a dark colour, which is going to be a nightmare for you guys to see, but I'm going to do my best. I wonder if I can brighten this all up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to slightly blow out the colours, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing a bit more clearly now. So I've done 2 double crochet and a chain 2. It does not want to stay nice and light. And I'm going to pop this corner, I'm going to put my hook into that corner, put my chain back on my hook, or my loop back on my hook, and pull it so it's at the front of my work. Then I'm going to do 1 double crochet of my corner, take the loop off my hook, put my hook underneath its corresponding double crochet little friend, put the yarn back on my hook and pull it through. Then I'm going to complete my last double crochet of that corner. So just like for tight join as you go for squares, as I say, I do have a video on that. This is the worst kind of yarn to be trying to show you. I'm going to carry on, and you treat it just as you do for a square. Now I'm going to do my side. And doing this really pulls your hexagon into a nice hexagon shape. So if you've got any bowing, this point it will get sorted out. So you keep attaching your double crochets to each other for as long as you have double crochets to either make or attach to. So this is my last set. So I've done half of my corner here. Now I picked this bit because I can show you how I deal with this little intersection, because of course you don't have this on a square, this little bit here. So you freestyle however you want to join them. For this blanket, what I've been doing is chaining 1, taking my hook out, popping it under this first one. There's a little bit of bodging happening here. Get under this first one, and then I'm lifting my hook up. Oops, stay in shot. So I've pulled it through this sort of orangey square, and then I put it into this brown square. So I'm just putting it back on and pulling it through again. Then I'm chaining 1. I'll show you that again. Take it right back. So I chain 1, take my hook out, place my hook through the orange square, put that yarn, bring it to the front, lift it up, take my hook out. Then I'm going into this light brown square, putting the hook loop on my hook and pulling it through this one too. So I've just sort of loosely caught this corner. I'm just pulling it in. So you can't really see what I've done, but it just sort of catches it. Then chain 1, oops, without catching the yarn on that square. It's chain 1. And then I'm going to finish off my corner. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet, take my loop out, and I'm going to attach it to its friend on this goldeny beigey square. And carry on just as before. So that's how I deal with those little intersections here. So it pulls this one together, but you can't really see. Hopefully you got what I did, because I apologize, I did not think this through with this yarn coming to the brown section, joining to brown and joining to brown. But that's how I deal with the little intersection bits for joining a hexagon. But you do what works for you. As long as you do the same thing for every hexagon on your blanket, that's fine. Whatever way you want to do it, just do it consistently and you're good to go. So I'm just going to finish up this side over here. Links to my how to do the tight join as you go are in the description box below. So don't forget to click that little arrow just at the bottom down here to expand the sort of description section where you'll find links to the other videos that you can watch, because I'm aware I am just sort of vaguely skipping over this section. I'm sort of assuming you're with me on the tight join as you go already. So when you join to the very last double crochet, go ahead and chain 2, and that's your attaching done. But can you see how beautifully that's pulled it all nice and square? Look, magic. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this little granny hexagon. If you want to make it bigger than 5 rounds, you absolutely can. You just keep going. So just like a granny square, your granny hexagon will grow exponentially by 1 side cluster each time. And by just doing 2 double crochet instead of 3, it's really quick when you get into it, particularly great for scrap blankets like this because it's slightly more economical with the yarn. It still looks just as effective, but it's, you know, just a tiny, tiny variation on your standard hexagon granny, but not variation enough that I could call it anything new, because it's just a granny hexagon. So when you are done, you're going to slip stitch just as before to that chain 2, and because I have finished with this round now and I don't need to make my way to the corner, I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to snip my yarn, leaving a generous tail so I can weave it in afterwards, and I'm just going to pull that through. So that is a really simple granny hexagon with a very loose glossing over of how to do a tight join as you go, and particularly how to deal with this little intersection. I would do the same if I had 2 intersections. So it's just pulling it through that sort of middle one and then over to this one here. So attach, pull the yarn through, attach. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to shout in the comment section below. And I hope you enjoy stash busting as much as I do. It's very satisfying. So I'll see you all again on my channel very soon. Bye!